So this is what I'm going to call part 2 of the lessons on, Dynamic Trader, as far as how to use it, or all the tools that I use. And there was actually a tool that I did not show you, I think, the last time around, and we ought to do that real quick. But I am going to tell you to go back to the go back to the first video to learn the other basics. But I think one of the tools that we didn't use the last time was just the Trendline Tool, this little toolbox over here in the upper left hand corner to show the the line tools. And as far as what I do, I use this Trendline tool a lot as a line segment, so you can right click and you can change it to where it either is a segment where I like to label things. So for example, if I want to show or compare swings in the same direction, then I can just click on the high to the low, and I can right click it and make it thick, and then that is just it's more for illustration, like when I'm showing symmetry, that type of thing. So I'll use it that way. But the other way, you can obviously click on extend to the right, so then you can run a plain old trend line and it will extend forward. So that's another thing you can do there. Now the other tools I don't really use. I've goofed around with the pitchfork a long time ago, but I don't really use it now, but that is something that you can look at. Parallel lines, sometimes I'll just I'll run a parallel just for kicks. Okay,
Kicks. She said kicks.
Kicks. Okay. Yeah, I think you guys don't want to have the mics on. And let's see. Oh, here we go. Let's see if I can set this up correctly. Okay, anyway, so are there any questions on that particular tool? Okay. All right. Are there any of the other tools that I showed you, for anybody that was here last week, that you still have a question on? Okay. All right. So I guess what we can do is, do we need to go over like the swing files and how to set up the swing files? Or are we all clear from the last update on that? Yeah. Well, we'll do some work on the histogram. So anyway, in order to run a histogram, and does everybody know where they're supposed to get that set up? Especially if you're in Windows 10, then that cycle that I gave you, or the time for the time cycle ratios on Windows 10, you have to go under public documents to find this. Okay, which is a little bit of a pain in the butt, and I'm not sure why they changed it and moved it to there. But then you want to bring it into, or take that file and just drop it into the sets folder. So that's that's what you need to do there, and then it will show up when we do the histogram. So that is what else? Where else did I have it? Okay, and then inside the sets folder, then you should see it in here. Yeah, like right in this case, it's right here. Oh, okay. All right, so I've got a question, is how to move around or delete a symbol in a worksheet? I don't know what you mean, move around. I mean, as far as if you want to, call up a chart. Yeah, we're gonna do the swing lines. But I'm not sure what the other question was. how to move or delete a symbol. I mean, if you are done with the chart and you don't want to see it anymore, I mean, all you're going to do is go up here and shut it. Not this X, because this will shut the whole program, but this will shut that particular chart. Yeah, there's somebody told me that you can, I don't know, was it you, Bob, that you can click on edit, copy chart, move to a different workspace and paste the chart there. I've never tried it, but apparently that's supposed to work. That's not something that I've done before. So as far as the swing file is concerned, you know, what you're doing with the swing file is you basically want to create a manual swing file, which comes in, you know, over here. So you want to click on make a new manual swing file when you're starting with a blank chart. And you can see that there's too many swings here. You know, we really want to just look at the most important key highs and lows. So what we have to do is starting to adjust the, I typically will put minimum bars to 2, and that takes care of a bunch of those little micro swings that we really don't want to see. And then you mess with the minimum swing percentage, and you want to get it to where you're just seeing the key highs and lows that you want to use in your analysis. So this is pretty, yeah, I want to get rid of a bunch of them because I really just want some of these more important swings, okay? All right, so that looks good. So that's at 13%. So what I'm going to do is edit the rest by hand. So what I'm going to do is save this swing file, name it, and in this case I'm looking at the stock TWLO. So I'm going to just name it TWLO, you know, daily. And then after you save it, you know, just close this little box. But you can see that in this case I want to edit out this high and low because I just want, you know, that swing, not the little zigzag in there. So there's 2 ways you can do it. The way that I typically do it is I just go to edit swings with mouse, and then I click on top of the high I want to delete. I click below the low I want to delete, and it's gone. And now I can go back and then resave the swing file, otherwise it'll go back to, you know, including that little swing. So then I just go to save primary swing file, and now you're pretty much set to run, you know, timing from a histogram. Now the other way is actually if you use the marker, you know, where you toggle the marker key, or M for marker, and you know, it's this line here. So I believe what you can do is if you are in the edit mode and you don't want to use the mouse to edit, what you can just do is, in this case, like I can hit delete. Whoops, something just went. I think I have to take this off. Okay, so if I hit the delete key, it deletes that high. But if I want to put it back in, instead of using the mouse, I can just hit H, the H key, and the H key puts it back in. So if you're trying to put back in a high and you want to use, you know, H for a shortcut, then you can use the H and that'll put it back in. If you want to, you know, add a low, let's say you wanted to add a low over, well, actually, yeah, we would add a high first, for example. Just go on top of the, or put the marker on top of the high or low, and in this case it's a high, so I'd hit H, and then you can cursor over, hit the L for low, you know. I mean, I think the mouse is easy enough though, but if you want to use that shortcut, you can. But since I don't want that, let's delete it. So I'm just going to hit the delete key, cursor over, hit the delete key, and then just resave the primary swing file. Okay, that's all I do. I don't mess with any of the other stuff. So when you're running the histogram, okay, from a low, what you're doing is, yeah, as far as the shortcut keys, you're gonna have to read Bob's stuff because I don't have the list. I think that there might be a list. Here's show keyboard shortcuts. So that's where you want to go and just print that for yourself. That's right within the program. It's under Help, Show Keyboard Shortcuts. Okay, so do you still need me to show you how to add another swing? Okay, all right, good. All right, so when we're projecting for the next timing high, we're coming from the last low, you have to put the marker on where you want to start the projections from, or where you're coming from. We're projecting from this last low for the next possible high. So then the steps are going to be, you go to reports, dynamic time projection, that's the only one that I use. Make a new report, and you can see that it is set right here on dynamic time projection. Make a new report is what you want to click, and then it always switches to calendar day mode, or it has to for this. Okay, so you'll see that now you can kind of see where the weekends come in and all that good stuff. So this always works in calendar day mode only. So anyway, so if we're going to anticipate or want to know where to anticipate the next high, what I do is I start the projection about either 1 to 2 days before current time. So that means, let's see, if we start, this is going to take a little while to get there because Friday was the 1st. So let's say I'll do it a couple days before current time. Okay, and there's a reason why I do it. It's because of the relative scoring. I want to keep things consistent, but because of the relative scoring, it kind of changes it if you do it let's say somewhere 15 days forward. It's going to look different. So this is always the way that I do it, because you want to do it probably 1 or 2 bars right before current time. Now if you were going to do an example where you wanted to see that there was timing at this last low, I mean, then obviously you're not going to do current time, but you're going to see where that last low should have come in, and you wanted to see that there was a timing there, then it wouldn't be at current time. But anyway, let's just hit well, normally I'll just hit the table and histogram, but here in this case, for the time cycle ratio sets, I'm always using this. Okay, that's my file. I don't use any trading day counts. I don't use any calendar day counts. If you click on this, and this is where you can edit and make your own. Now you can take any of these templates and change it and save it as something else. Save it as your own. Okay, that's what you can do. But the only things you're really changing is the weighting and the distribution. And what I really changed was, for symmetry, I had it at a higher weighting because, that's one of the most powerful things, and I definitely want to pay attention to those. 1618, I have at a higher score. And what else? Yeah, that's about it. Anyway, you can go through it, but you can see what I have there, and then you can change it and see if it works different. But I've been using this for quite a few years, and it has always been extremely helpful, and I have no reason to change it at this point. So now what we're going to do, besides I'm just leaving the length of projection range bars 66 days forward. I mean, you can change that if you want, but usually that default is really good because typically you have more highs and lows that develop in the market. You're going to want to rerun the work anyway, so you don't really need it to go out like 100 trading days forward. And what else do we have? All right, so let's just click on the table and the histogram. And then you can see, again, you have the option to show scores just above a certain level. So you say, well, I just want to see these ones that are above 30. And you can do that if you want. But, yeah, then it just shows the one day, February 5th. But typically, I don't even mess with that. But what I will do is, you can look here and see that all the cycles that are used are labeled right here. What's the ratio that it's using, what type of projection it is, where the projection's from, what high or low, first date, second date, all that good stuff. So it's there for you if you want to print it out and look at what the cycles actually are. But again, that's something that I don't do either. I mean, in the beginning, when I wanted to learn more, I did more of that stuff, but now I just do what I do. So typically I want to save the histogram and show it below the chart. I mean, you can also, print a table, print a summary, and all that good stuff, and it's kind of cool to look at, but I'm mostly doing this for a visual. So since I'm looking for a potential high, I'm going to label it, Feb, oh wait, let's see. Yeah, so Feb 4th, Feb 6th. So I'll just say TWLO, Feb 4, 6, high. Okay, and I'll just say high because that means I'm looking for a high, which also means that if the market starts trading back down instead into these cycles, then this, since it is a directional timing projection, is not valid anymore. It's only valid when you're running the histogram, when you're doing the directional cycles here, if we're continuing in the same direction. So if we continue to rally into, well, this is pretty much the next couple of days, that's when you want to ratchet up your stops and anticipate a possible pullback. It might just be a pullback. It might not be a major high or anything, but it, at least if you're long, you're going to want to protect profits, right? Plus you made major target number 1 off of that setup. Okay, so does that make sense? Okay, and then for example, if you wanted to, like if you wanted to go back and say, well, was there, any timing at this last low or that type of thing? So what you do, I mean, and I do this because I create presentations, but other times you might just want to say, well, did the histogram work, with this particular stock? Was it helpful? So let's say, for example, I'm going to put the marker and run a projection from this last high. downwards for a possible low, and we know that there was a low made here on the 24th. So what we can do is go back to reports, dynamic time projection, make a new report, and then, you know, I'll run it to like December 22nd. Oh, okay, actually Friday the 21st. So I want to do it before where the low was made on December 24th, a couple days. So I'm going to now click on the table in histogram, and you'll see that there was pretty high scoring date right here, 12/23, 12/25. So at that point in time, I would say low TWLO 12/23/25. And since we were trading straight down into it, we were going to anticipate a low and reversal. And you know, if you remember this example anyway, this was just that awesome example because this was almost perfect time and price, and basically yesterday you met and went beyond target number 1, because this decline was 8 trading days, 27.34. This was 8 trading days, 27.32. And that was a beautiful turn. All right, so do we want to just go through another example of setting up a chart and then running the histogram? Well, sometimes if you have something that the swings are too messy, then it may not have any value. Yeah, this is a mess. So you're talking about like micro swings, these highs and lows. I mean, typically I'm not going to do this. But let me just give it a shot anyway. So no, I don't want it that low. Okay, so first you kind of want to find the basic swings, and I'm going to just save it like this. I don't know if this is going to have that much value, but like I said, we'll give it a shot. So I'm going to have to change some of these swings. I want to edit out this swing over here on the left hand side, even though it probably won't make a difference because it's way over on the left hand side of the chart. But then I would probably want to also include this one. So did you do something like that? I mean, because it's going to take or run the symmetry of some of these swings, so it might give you something with symmetry. But with these many swings, well, let's try it, because if the histogram doesn't look good, then forget about it. But if you wanted to anticipate a possible intraday low, you go to reports, dynamic time projection, make a new report. Here's where I need to know how many bars this is from this high to this low. I know it's just a few, but usually I'll go ahead and label it. Okay, so I'm going to want to run the report like maybe, yeah, so I'll just do it this way. So 3 bars from here, because this is only 5 bars down, and we'll see if there is anything. And it doesn't look like it, but we'll check. Save histogram below the chart. So this is worthless, but this not necessarily. So I would say that you should try this and see if you do get any results with it, but it's mostly going to be probably taking 100% of these prior declines and projecting downwards, maybe with a couple of, time retracements and stuff. But this is where I would look for a possible reversal. And like I said, I haven't done much of this except, here and there I'll run it on the indexes if, they're just flying one way or the other, and I want to see if there's anything that will tell me when that might end. Let's see. Well, I'll save this for you. I'm not sure where I'm going to post them just yet. I could probably just email them out. Yeah, the daily charts I'm seeing, the 4th through the 6th also. And plus we have the indexes. Now, one of the things that that I did with the indexes is, like say, for example, where's my NDX? Oh, now here's something else that you can do. Let's say you've already done the work. You can go and add the swing file that was already done. So you just go to swings, load primary swing file. And then you have to look for it in here. So in this one, I have so many swing files from a long time. So this would have been NDX. I need NDX. Would be easier if I probably went this way. Okay, so NDX, where is NDX? I don't know if this was the one. Oh, there it is. Okay, NDX. All right, so you just have to click on load primary swing file. I haven't deleted them. I don't think I've deleted them. Oh yeah, so as far as the date labels, you want to right click it and then tell it what you want to see. So I use date, price change, and number of trading bars. I mean, if you could probably just like overwrite a file. So for example, if you had a if you make a new swing file in something, just overwrite the other one. I probably should just have a standard as just the stock symbol. But anyway, originally I was doing the projections from this last low in NASDAQ. But then what I would also do, I would also run it from this prior minor swing. So I want to just kind of test this and see. Let's just run another histogram from the December 24th low, and this is in NASDAQ cash. So I'm going to go to reports, dynamic time projection, make a new report, switch to calendar day mode, and then current time is, well, Friday was what, the 1st, right? So like I'll probably run it from the 31st, the begin date to run it. Click on table and histogram, and there's not a hell of a lot in there because it's a lot of these swings back here, and we've gone beyond a lot of those time projections. So like, what do we have next? There isn't anything too stand out here. Okay, now it would have been like before, like when we had that here's when you had timing 19th, 20th. Okay, so this was this is where you put in this high over here with that histogram. Okay, but as you go further out, then running it off of here is not going to make a whole lot of sense. So what we want to do now is I added the most recent minor swings, this high, this low, this high, this low, and I projected from here. Reports, dynamic, make a new report. Obviously we have to go back a little bit, so from Thursday, well, let's see, because we had, let's do it from here because we had a high on the 31st. And then this comes in Jan 31st through Feb 2nd. So this is high Jan 31st to 2.2 in NASDAQ. So we're on this timing right now, and then there's another, or the next grouping beyond that as far as the histogram is more like February, well, it shows Feb 6th. But this is, where we were Friday. Yeah, I probably just, if you want to keep watching something, then there's no real reason to delete it. But as new highs and lows are made, you may have to edit the swing file to include, some new swings. All right, so are there any questions on this? Or anything else? Because like I said, the hour and a half that I did, I don't want to, just do that over again because we've already done that as far as all the tools and everything. But I'm pretty sure I've gone over just about everything that I use every single day. Well, let's try it. Which 60-minute chart do you want to look at? These are sometimes extremely messy. If you're doing futures. But if you're doing stocks, I don't use overnight data with stocks. Oh, that's a good question. Okay. So, well, you know what? I think it's going to depend on what you use. For me, and I use eSignal, I have to go into the eSignal symbol defaults. And then you are not going to have a whole lot set up here in the beginning with the symbol settings. I think they just have a few basic ones in there for you. But you would have to go, like, let's say if you only had the regular bond and you wanted to change it you can go edit, new symbol type. And then you tell it whether you're going to do a 24-hour symbol. And you know, one of the other things you can do is you can copy like some of these setups and then just edit what you need to edit. So for example, in the bonds, let's see, I changed it to 24 hours. You have to just fill in these blanks here. You know, you tell the program that you want either a new regular day session or a new 24-hour. And then, you know, name it. I just use what they have as far as the time zone offset. I don't 100% know if I'm doing this correctly. I've just used what has worked before. And then you have to make sure you have the right pricing. So in the bonds are in 30 seconds. And, you know, for other stuff like, you know, halves and quarters, I think that's going to be for like, you know, the grains. But that's what you'll do there. But he'll also have, I believe that there is a downloadable file, I think. Because I don't know how you would do it for the other data sources. But that's how I do it in eSignal. Yeah, I don't. Did you ask DT about the decimal setting? Because I imagine that it should be able to be fixed. Okay, the exchange time zone, not your own time zone. Yeah, and you know what's funny though? Well, one exchange used to be, you know, in New York, or one exchange used to be in Chicago, but now, you know, it's a computer. So, and so did DT say that you couldn't change it? Because that's something they should fix. Anyway, let's go to a maybe not Apple. Yeah, I don't know which is going to be good for a 60-minute. Okay, so like in this case, this is the automatic swings, which is not very helpful at this point because you can't really edit those. So this is MU 60-minute chart. So in this one, if I was going to make a manual swing file, I certainly don't want all of these little micro swings. And you know, some charts are going to be better to work with this way, and others not so much. You can't force it. All right, let's see. I'm going to edit a few of these swings here. Yeah, I don't think we would need that one. So I edited, you know, I don't want super small swings because I don't think that's going to give you any decent results. I'm just trying to think if I should run it from here or run it from here. You know, and when in doubt, you can just do both. So let's say if you wanted to look at when MU might put in a high, go to reports, dynamic time projection, make a new report. It's probably like 7 or. Okay, that's not helpful. All right, let me just label this again. So this low to this last high, that's 16 bars. Okay, so I don't need this. I need it to go forward a bit more in time. So reports, let's do 14 days before where this, or 14 bars. Okay, so here, and I think this is in New York time, the timing. IMU 60. Okay, so usually, you're going to look at the highest scoring bars, and then it's, plus or minus a bar of that. So in this case, this is not a perfect hit, but it is within 1 bar of this second bar here. And then this is not helpful here. Yeah, if it makes a new high, you'd have to run a new histogram. But I don't know. I mean, this to me doesn't look like it's a great chart to run intraday timing on. There are some charts that are just, better looking than that. I'm not crazy about doing timing on the S&P with this overnight data. Not crazy about it because I just haven't run it enough to see if this really has that much value. But let's see. For kicks, let's try it. So this is a 120-minute chart. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to save this, but I'll be editing out some swings. So for example, I wouldn't want this swing over here. Whoops, I hit the wrong one. All right, now I need to see it better so I can delete what I didn't want here. All right, there you go. So now these swings seem to be a little bit better, but let's see if it gives us anything. So let me just label this so I know how many bars to project. $47 bars. Yeah, I don't know if this will have any value either, but let's try it. Reports, dynamic time projection. Might be too far out, but all right, so there looks like there's a couple of standouts there. Or just label it high ES 120. And then a lot of times if you want to just see kind of where it comes in, I just use this vertical bar. So if you go to the, actually it's the open, high, low, close, or vertical lines. So I just use this vertical line and then just kind of mark where that vertical line comes in. At least that's the high bar. So you know there's a couple of others around it too. So it's, you know, that's a window that you'd watch for possible change. Okay, are you talking about the two intermediate swings on this chart, or are we talking about a different chart? Oh, that was on the MU. Jan 25. Yeah, you know what? I mean, it's not very clear. I mean, you can say that maybe you don't need this swing. You can also run it from here. So I think the last time I ran it from the last low, and I need to run it from, so let's leave that one up there. All right, so if we ran it from there, then that's 30 bars, so reports. All right, so let's see where this comes in from the prior low. You know, and when in doubt, you just run both of them. Okay, and then if you wanted to see both, you can go right on top of these windows and right click, and then just uncheck tabbed, and it'll show you the difference, you know, if you want to see both of them. So, you know, this one is from, yeah, that's not very helpful. It's from this low, and the other one was from this low. I don't do a whole lot on the intraday charts for the reason that, you know, a lot of times these swings are not very conducive to, you know, doing the work. But what type of spike are you talking about? Can you give me an example? It doesn't look like that much of a spike to me. You know, again, it's going to be, you know, trial and error with some of that stuff. I mean, a lot of the daily charts work a whole lot better, you know, where you have some very clear highs and lows, and they need to be far enough, you know, away from each other to run some stuff. I would say that you should, you know, try it with the spike and try it without the spike, and then watch for the results, because actually I just don't know. Yeah, I mean, sometimes, you know, there are going to be swings like that that you might have to ignore, but I would just try it. All right, so any other questions, or did you need to walk through another example of the histogram, or are we good on the histogram and swing files? You know, the other thing is if you start doing some work and all of a sudden it's like you can't, like, okay, so I have this on hotbars now. So if I tried to put a vertical line in the middle, it's not going to let me because it will only go to the hotbars. So you just have to remember if you can't put something down on the chart in the right place, it's probably because you have the hotbars on and you have to uncheck it. Then you can, you know, move something to somewhere in the middle if you need it for illustration. But I tell you, you know, if you're following my stuff and you know, you use some of the same swings and now you have the same file, we should be coming up with the same dates. You know, because my file is definitely different than, you know, the default stuff. I think you would have to include the flash crash. You know, there's going to be other highs and lows that are going to be taken into account. But again, you know, give me an example of a chart and I'll look at it. I actually still have to I have to write an article. My work is never done. I don't know that my chart is going to go back enough unless I look at a weekly. Oh yeah, no, I don't have enough back data to look at it. (2010), yeah, this is going, I don't know why this is not giving me that much in the way of, let's try it again. Of course it doesn't show it. Let's try this again. I don't understand why these bars, you know, they change. It says I have 422 and I still don't have, I don't have 2010. You know, actually I could try it that way. If I ask for 1,000 bars and see what it gives, maybe it'll give me more. Just ask for a new chart. Oh, that worked. Okay. So which low are you talking about? I mean, this stuff existed. I mean, it looks like it fits on the chart. I mean, if I was doing time analysis, I would include that. yeah, was no big deal on a weekly. I mean, I don't think that I can get enough bars on a daily. Probably won't let me. Huh. Actually, it did. Okay, here's something that you can do that you may not know about. If you put up a swing file and you take the marker and you go move the marker to the left to where, you know, if you want to get rid of the forward data, then we can look at this a little bit more closely. You have to hit this key. I don't know what it's next to the P key. It's 2 over from the P key. And now all of that data disappeared. So where was this? Yeah, it is good for back testing. You can zero in on it. Yeah, yeah. The brace key. Okay. You know, and you can also go the other way too. You can then do the one that's right next to the peak key and tell it where to start it on the front end. So let's see, where's my marker? It's here. Oops. 8. I know, Bob's got it written in there somewhere, but I haven't used it in a long time. But you know, any of these lows, whatever, I mean, yeah, I'm still going to use it. Because it happened. I'm still going to use it. All right, so any other questions? Because I have got to write an article, and I really need to take a nap. It was a long week. But this should be enough information to get you guys started. And then otherwise, you know, read his manual. That's how I had to start in the beginning. Anyway, so I'm going to stop the Camtasia video here.